Hello, I'm Daniel Sketchley.
And I'm Callum Byrne.
We've been friends for more than 10 years, sharing lifelong passions such as film and music,
But most importantly, football, through the ups and the downs.
the celebration and the heartbreak.
However, he's a blue nose.
And he's a villain.
This is the Second City podcast.
We are back, week 16, we think this is. We were just trying to work it out.
That is a rough guess.
That's a rough guess. I think it's 16. How are you, Cal? You're good?
I'm pretty good, mate. I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. Tired, man. Tired. Been busy. A lot of work and stuff leading up to Christmas. But
Is your tree up
uh,
yet?
it's not, no. So we have a double birthday in the house on the 13th. So it's like an unwritten rule that before then you can't the Christmas decorations can't really go up before then. Have you? Have you?
You might be able to see some of the Christmas lights just
Oh
behind
yeah,
me that
yeah, I
are in the
can
window.
actually, yeah.
The
Yeah.
tree is up. It is right behind my laptop, but I'm not going to destroy my setup to show you on the page.
No. No,
Um,
fair enough. Proper winter weather now though, isn't it? It's absolutely tipping it down now.
yeah. But
Yeah.
well, the
Still
winter weather I'd argue was last week when it was minus
true.
five.
True. I actually yeah, in comparison I don't like it's absolutely tipped it down here all day. I actually don't mind it in comparison to the cold last week. Oh god, can't
I
stand it.
swing. I don't mind this sort of rain because it's 7 degrees out there, so it's not that cold.
Mm. Yeah,
But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
sometimes when it's like you go outside and it's frosty and you've got that sort of crisp cold and the sun's out, I actually quite like that.
Yeah, yeah, sure, fair enough, yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. It was
Fair enough.
cold at Villa Park on Thursday night. That was
Yeah,
really cold.
it was pretty nippy at St Andrews on Saturday as well, I can't lie. Uh but yes, I'm looking forward to though. I got tickets for the Major League Baseball, I was telling you, next year
Yeah.
in London following the Mets. I'm looking for. I was at the Blues game on Saturday. I'd just bought the tickets a few days earlier for the baseball. And I was like, like walking up to the ground, like freezing. I was like, oh my god, next June it'll be nice,
Yeah.
nice and warm at West Ham Stadium. And I thought, whatever happens with Blues, we'll always have the Mets. Like things are going south at Blues, we'll always have the Mets. So, um, uh, but yeah, so this week, as usual, we'll start with what we're wearing, and then we'll get into. We both Blues and Villa played twice this week. Obviously, Villa played in Europe as well. So we'll get into all that and a bit of housekeeping as usual. I'm going to talk about the Blues open house stuff that obviously has been going around on social media lately.
That we teased last week as well.
Yeah, we teased it. Yeah, so we shall fulfil that promise, and then we'll look forward to our upcoming games this week as well. If that sounds good to you, Callum.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. Should we get into what we're wearing then? So, as always, I'll wear a blue shirt. Callum wears a Villa shirt. We just talk about our memories of that time and that season and so on. Do you want to go first, Callum, or should I?
I think I've been guessing or talking first in the last couple of episodes, so I think we'll let you go first this week, Dan. And because I
Sure.
think I've got a good idea
Oh,
of
yeah.
when this shirt might be.
Sure.
So, I mean,
So it's
look at that sponsor. I have
yeah.
never seen that sponsor in my life.
This is for anyone listening. This is the a home. The sponsor is
X-Tech?
X-Tep is the
Ah,
kit maker. Rational FX is the shirt sponsor. Rational FX Zend Pay, I think it says.
yeah.
Um,
I
but yeah,
think
sort
we
of
had
white
an
trim on the
FX
collar.
sponsor around this time, and I have no idea
Mm.
what they did.
No, no idea. This was a phase when we seemed to change sponsor every season as well.
So you did wear an X-Tep shirt. If I say a few weeks ago, it was probably more like two
Yeah,
months ago.
yeah, a couple of months ago.
But it was only a few episodes ago, really. Um, which would have been your 10-11 the year you got relegated. So I'm going to go with 11-12 because I don't think I've recognized that sponsor. So it'd be the year after and a championship kit.
Bang on, someone's done their homework. Yeah, bang on. Absolutely spot on. Yeah, so this was 2011-12 kit. It might even be on. So behind me here, I've got it's like a piece of art of like famous blues kits, and this one's
Shirts
on
through the
here.
years.
Yeah, shirts through the years, just on there. Pretty famous season. So it is weird though because this is 2011. So I was 14, and this was the last kit I got my name on the back. So this
Whoa,
was
let's see
I was
that.
14 when I got this kit. It's really alarming that it just about fits me still. This kit is 12 years old and it still just about fits me. So I don't know how well you can see the shirt on the name
Oh
on the back.
yeah, the championship
14.
or the Football League lettering
Yes.
sketchily 14 on the back.
Yeah, so I was last time I got my name on the back. But yeah, 2011. So we'd just been relegated and there was a lot of kind of Carson Young, the whole thing with Carson Young started where he was arrested and so on, and all the financial difficulties, and then McLeish left to go to Villa. That was a really, really hectic summer, and I think a lot of people were feeling very down about this season going into it. But it turned into like one of our best seasons ever, like just one of our most memorable. How the club kind of resurrected itself, even if it was just for a year. So Chris Hughton came in. We had loads of great players come in, like Chris Burke, Chris Wood came in on loan from West Brom, Wade Elliott, Stephen Caldwell, and then other players like Curtis Davis and David Murphy, who were already at the club, really kind of stepped up. Nathan Redmond, and yeah, so we started kind of the season kind of sluggishly, but in the new year we just went on this like insane run. Like just everything clicked all of a sudden, and yeah, we beat. I think it was Millwall. It was. I'm not sure if it was in this kit. It might have been in the third kit, but we beat Millwall like 6-0 away, which is incredible. Beat Leeds 4-1, where Zigic scored all 4 goals. It was absolutely mental. Um, we beat. I don't know why I remember this game so well, but we beat Wolves 1-0 away in the FA Cup, and they were in the Premier League at the time. Wade Elliott scored really late on. I remember that was just felt like the peak of like we just couldn't lose at all. We had a great game. We played Crystal Palace at home and we won 3-1. I think we were 3-0 up within about half an hour. And we just like Chris Burke and Keith Fahey just scored these absolutely two just unreal goals. And it just felt like, when you've probably got it at the minute with Villa annoyingly at your home games where you feel just completely untouchable, like no
Yeah.
one can stop you. Had a lot of that this season in that sort of second half of the season. And it's a real shame that we kind of we got played Blackpool in the playoffs semi-final and we lost. I think it was 3-2 on aggregate, even though the second leg was at home, and that was really, really frustrating because I remember Barry Ferguson had gone to Blackpool for that season, and he just absolutely bossed that two-legged tie, and I was like, literally that one player. If we hadn't sold him, I think that's probably us going to Wembley. But this season also really famous because we played in the Europa League because we won the cup the year before. So yeah, beat Bruges away 2-1, which was insane. My biggest probably regret as a Blues fan is I didn't get to one of the European away games. I kind of wish it had happened a few years later. I wish I'd been a bit older for it and could have gone and probably appreciated it a lot more. But I did get to go to the home game, so very grateful for that. The Bruges home game where we drew 2-2 when we were 2-0 down was like just electric. That was absolutely mental. Um, so yeah, great season, nice kit. Never saw X-Tep again. They mysteriously disappeared.
Probably the
But
same with
yeah,
that sponsor.
yeah, no idea. Never saw them again either. But yeah, great time, great season.
I actually find it quite surprising you haven't got a Europa League patch on that kit. You've got the
No,
championship lettering.
yeah, I just didn't even. It didn't even occur to me at the time. I don't remember them. I remember buying this kit in the club shop. I don't remember them even offering. I remember them trying to sell me the championship patches, but they were like £6 a pop, and I was like, no.
Yeah, to be fair,
Um,
having said that, I don't think I ever had any Europa League or UEFA Cup stuff on my kits.
I think
Which
just
was the
at the
Premier
time it
League.
just didn't even occur to me. I don't know, it didn't even cross my mind. And it didn't cross my mind to get the Europa font on it or anything like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, so 2011, this kit was from.
Nice one.
So I think about you. You're wearing an away white and kind of it's not red, is it? No, it's claret, I guess.
It's claret pinstripes, claret
Shockingly
badge.
claret. Kazoo's the sponsor. It looks like Kappa is the kit
It
maker.
is a Kappa kit, yeah.
It's fairly recent. I'm going to say 2021 away. 2021, 22.
Correct.
Oh, nice, cool. We're on
Yeah,
form today.
so this was the year where we celebrated the 40th anniversary of winning the European Cup in 1982. So there was a lot of rumours that we were going to have a
Took
European Cup.
16 weeks. We've got a reference to it. Sorry, carry
um,
on.
well, we talked about LA the other week, so
We did,
you know.
didn't
Um, but yeah, so we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of when we won the European Cup. There's heavy speculation. We were gonna have a remake of that winning kit, even though we did have one in 2015 randomly out the blue. Um, and alas, we did. It's a very nice modern take on that kit, really. Kappa. It's just a very solid kit. It ticks all the right boxes for me for an Aston Villa away kit. It's white, as a traditional away color, really. The fit's good. It's got some really nice blue trim. I don't know if you can really see
Yeah, I can see
the
that.
cuffs, and it's on the back of the waistband, some claret and blue trim. Yeah, lovely kit. Season, wow. We started. We had a couple of good memories in this kit. We obviously won at Old Trafford in Dean Smith's last win as Aston Villa manager. We won 1-0. Courtney Horse with the winner. Obviously that was Dean Smith's last win, so that was very, very sad because he got sacked for Steven Gerrard a few weeks later, who's we had terrible away form with, but we did have a really good win at Burnley in this kit towards the back end of the season. But I mean, otherwise, a largely forgettable season, which was mostly just remembered for selling Jack Grealish and sacking Dean Smith, and that's about it, really.
Yeah, it was a step back season for sure.
Yeah, I think we finished 14th in the league. And we had to be the team that lost to Manchester City on the last day of the season for them to win
Oh
the
yeah,
Premier League title.
you went to that
Um,
game as well, didn't you?
I was at that game. That was something. That's a game I'll never forget. A weird game. Um, I've never seen a ground go from being so quiet to so loud in the space of like a few, it was a 5 minute period, wasn't it, between the three goals? So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, and then they had the pitch invasion in front of us, and then we left. It's the quickest I've ever come out of a game to come home, is because there was like only about 100 Man City fans left the stadium. It was weird watching a few of them leave the stadium while everyone else is piling onto the pitch.
Hmm.
But yeah, strange game. And Robin Olsen played in goal that day as well.
He did. Did someone sock him one as well? I'm trying to remember.
He took, yeah, someone punched him, I think.
Yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dear oh
but
dear.
yeah, great kit, crap season. Let's talk about this season.
Yeah, I've had a few good kits, crap seasons. Don't worry about that. Got a collection of that. That's what we should call this segment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Shall we get into the games then? A lot to get through.
Yes. Yeah. Shall we briefly talk about the midweek ones? I feel like I've probably got more to talk about than you. So shall we
Yeah.
get Blackburn away out of the way?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we won't spend too long on it. But yeah, we played Blackburn away on was it last Wednesday night, and we lost 4-2. Blackburn. Apparently, we've won once. I mentioned last week that we beat Blackburn about 10 years ago, and Lee Novak scored. Apparently, that's the only time we've won there in the last 50 years, which is
What?
mental. Because we apparently, yeah, and I can't think of another one. Considering like we play them a lot, they're a team we've shared divisions with a lot. That's absolutely mental. But it doesn't shock me either because we never seem to win there.
You had them in the
Um,
FA Cup last year as well.
yeah, we did, and we somehow got an even more boring draw this year with Hull away. But yeah, apparently though, so I didn't actually get to see the game, but apparently we played pretty well in the first half. Apparently we had created a lot of chances. I think it was something like 29 chances across the game or something, which is a big improvement. But the game was still 0-0 at half time. And in the second half, we've gone somehow in the space, in a short period of time, we've conceded 3 goals. And John Ruddy's had a real howler. He's miles off his line for the first one, and he's been dinked for it. He gets dinked again for the second one. But I'd argue the biggest issue is Emmanuel Iwu letting his man run, not tracking him, and he's giving him the space to get the shot away. Ruddy's had an absolute howler for the third one. It's like a long range shot, and he's gone down to catch it, and it was kind of like, do you remember, like, it's not the exact same, but it kind of reminded me of like Scott Carson for England or one of them,
Oh
where
God, yeah.
the ball's just ricocheted up and gone in the net. Um,
Roy Carroll against Spurs all those years ago.
yeah, yeah, it's one of your classic like howlers. But then We kind of got back in the game. So Ricky Dembele, who is capable of such great things, I think he's a terrific player for us. He scores two absolutely brilliant goals. The first one, he sort of like threaded it through the defender's legs, nutmegged him, and then gone on a run and curved it past the keeper. And then the second one's a really nice long range shot that he's managed to get off. But then Blackburn score again late on, finishes 4-2. Yeah, disappointing, but we never seem to get anything at Blackburn. But I did say last week, I think I said last week anyway, if we can get anything at Blackburn, obviously circumstance depending, that's maybe okay. As long as we can get a win against Rotherham at the weekend. But we'll come on to that later. Yeah, some interesting selection choices and so on. But I'll maybe talk about that a bit more with the Rotherham game because I feel like it's as relevant there. And just to save myself repeating myself, it saves me repeating myself. I'll talk about it on the Rotherham game instead, I think.
And yet more goals conceded as well. Leaky,
Yeah, I mean,
leaky.
the defensive record, yes, it's not good at all. Yeah, defensive record's very wobbly at the minute. That's first time we've conceded four in a game under Rooney. But yeah, up to that point, we haven't kept a clean sheet under him. Yeah, and as I say, it's like individual errors a lot as well. Like Iwood letting his man run. Like personally, the defense, I would just go back to basics. I'd maybe put Kevin Long back in. But yeah, worrying. One positive, the black kit looks great. Really like it.
Great
So
kit, crap
that was the
season.
one. Yeah, great. Yeah, that's what it's turning into,
Yeah.
sadly. But hopefully we can turn that around. Uh, but yeah, talk a bit more in depth about it with the Rotherham games. It's a lot of the same points I'll bring up and so on. Shall we get on to then the following night? You played Legia Warsaw in Europe. Very eventful night by the sound of things.
Very, very.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll talk it through from my point of view because I was at the game. We were expecting, or at least I was expecting, along with I think a lot of other people, that it was well reported that there was issues with allocation versus the number of fans coming over. So Legia had their allocation reduced because of the trouble they caused, not only when they played AZ Alkmaar a few weeks ago, but also when they played Leicester in the Europa League a couple of years ago, where they basically came, trashed the place, and attacked a load of stewards. And a load of people, a load of stewards and police went to hospital. So they had their allocation slashed to about 900 tickets, maybe just over 1,000 tickets, when they probably should have had at least double that. But they were bringing 3,000 fans anyway, because, I mean, you know what it's like. They do the draw and everyone just books their travel. Heck, I've got my flights and accommodation for the Conference League final sorted. I won't even get a ticket, but regardless, I'm either having a holiday in Athens or I'm there for the final regardless. So you got all these fans coming over anyway, and all of a sudden they've got their allocation absolutely slashed. And there was the main fan group for Legia is very much like aligned and not cahoots, but very much involved with the running of the club. And they're like ultras had kind of come over from Poland with this mantra of either all of us get in or none of us get in. Right. And it's important to point out Aston Villa didn't slash their allocation. It was a combination of the West Midlands Police, UEFA, and the UK Safety Advisory Board. So Aston Villa Football Club had nothing to do with it. And there's a lot of tit for tat throwing between the two clubs of Legia didn't say they were going to accept any of their tickets until 4 o'clock on match day. And they're going back saying Aston Villa weren't helpful at all and they were not helping find a suitable compromise and all this rubbish. And all it sort of led to was a huge fight between the Legia Warsaw fans and West Midlands Police in the run-up to kickoff. Now, as I said earlier, I anticipated there could be a little bit of trouble before the game, and we were being told it was being dealt with like a Second City derby. So you'll know this from a Second City derby. Those are the days you get in the ground as early as you bloody can.
Yeah, you don't mess about. Yeah.
Yeah, so me and I went with my mum, actually. I haven't been to a game with just my mum ever. I haven't been with a game. She hasn't been to a game since 2019. So that was quite nice. But we were in the ground a good hour before kickoff. So we didn't see anything kicking off. And 15 minutes before the game's starting, we've gone up to our seats and there's no away fans. Like, that's weird. Well, where are the away fans? I was like, well, they'll all come just storming in and it'll be like a stampede coming through the concourse. And anyway, the teams then start walking out. Where's the away fans? And then I was like, blimey, you wouldn't be happy if you missed kickoff now, would you? Especially if you've flown all the way from Poland. Anyway, the game, no away fans. And there's a few people around going, where are the away fans? And anyway, we scored after about 3 minutes, and there's a great, like, it was a weird atmosphere because it was like a behind closed doors game. You know, we were expecting Legia to come and make an absolute racket, and the atmosphere was going to be great. And in a stadium, the two sets of fans, they sort of feed off each other, don't they? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
So it's weird when you haven't got any in the one part of the stadium. But there was a great moment where like we scored and it was great, and we're going like, "You're not singing anymore," and like, "Shall we sing a song for you?" and things like that, which was funny. Anyway, 20 minutes into the game, during the game, you could still see the police helicopter flying overhead. Where it crosses a line for me is when a glass bottle lands 2 meters in front of me. Very lucky that it didn't hit someone. It was incredibly fortunate that it's just landed in between. So the lower tier sort of split into basically an upper and lower of the lower tier, and there's a path that runs across the stand, and so you can either get up or down into your seats. And somehow it's landed there. I think there was another one that was chucked as well that landed a bit further up. I don't know what happened with that one, so I'm not gonna speculate really. But yeah, that crossed the line. And that did not feel very safe.
No, I can imagine. Yeah.
And and like I was saying, you know, because we couldn't see over this wall, we didn't know how many were there and how many were chucking things. So it was scary. You're just seeing stuff being lobbed over. I spent a good 5 minutes watching a brick wall, waiting for something to get chucked over it, rather than watching the game. And so I actually sort of missed the Legia Warsaw goal because I was looking at this wall, and there was like this, and I've turned around, and all of a sudden I've seen the ball bending into the top corner. So it wasn't until I got home that I realized that Kamara had just given the ball away. Really poor, sloppy pass. But the finish is top draw. Absolutely wonderful finish from Mucci. But yeah, the second half was a lot calmer in terms of the fan stuff. So, I mean, credit to West Midlands Police because they did a very good job on a very difficult night, and they kept us all as safe as they possibly could. And so, you know, they did a very good job. In terms of the game, very weird game, as I said, very weird atmosphere because it's hard to. The atmosphere wasn't too bad, really, given that there was no away fans. It's hard to, you know, in a game where like we needed to win. We kind of wanted to win by 2. It wasn't the end of the world if we didn't, but we kind of wanted to. But we had no Ollie Watkins, who was a big miss. John Duran had a bit of a frustrating night. He was a bit of a menace, but he's all right, but he's not Ollie Watkins. He's a good young player and he's got a lot of talent, but he's not Ollie Watkins. And you know, fair play. You know, our set pieces we've been very good from this year. Austin McPhee is definitely earning his paycheck at the end of the month, and Alex Moreno, who was an absolute menace all night down that left-hand side, he was brilliant on his return from hamstring surgery, and he got himself the winning goal. So we won 2-1 on the night. We were so close to winning by that 2-goal margin, where Robin Olsen of all people has pinged this beautiful ball over the top of the Legia Warsaw defense, and Leon Bailey's got him behind in like the 87th minute, chipped the goalie, and it's hit the bar, hit the line, and bounced out. And it just, we're talking millimeters. It like to bounce on the line, you know. We just, if only we had a bit of luck with goal line technology, Dan, you know.
Well, yeah, you've been short on that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Over the years. Yeah.
But as I said, you know, it was a good win on the night. Annoyingly, we didn't get that 2-goal margin. And again, if we'd have kept a clean sheet like we haven't done in, I think it's 9 games, might even be 10 with a game that might happen that we might cover later. We would have guaranteed top in the group. But we have qualified regardless, and we just need to go to Mostar in a couple of weeks and get a point. We don't need to win the game. So we can still rest some players. So I would still expect Robin Olsen to play, not Emi Martinez in Mostar. I'd probably expect John Duran to start, not Ollie Watkins. So as long as we don't kind of take the piss, I think we'll be comfortable enough to get what we need to get over the line. And we're finally above Legia now. And AZ, at least AZ are still fighting to qualify. If they go and beat Legia and beat them in the head to head, they can still qualify now. So at least that game's not a dead rubber. So and after the trouble in the previous game between those two, I'm sure that'd be nice and feisty as well.
For sure. Well, yeah, you got to win, and at least you're all safe and stuff. Nothing, nothing too. So in the end, very good. One game some Legia Warsaw fans did get to, not many, but some. I don't know if you saw this.
I did.
They did get to the Blues Rotherham game on Saturday. That was one game they did get to, whilst they were over here, in the Gilmerick, apparently. And someone else who got there was the chairman of the advisory board, Tom Brady, flown in for the big game against Rotherham.
Do you reckon he enjoyed his no fear football?
I don't think he did. Which is, well, I don't know. It's a shame. I just think it's so. For anyone who didn't see, we drew 0-0. Rotherham, like second bottom, they had only got 1 point away from home all season up to this point. So it's a rare team in the division that has a worse away record than us. But yeah, Tom Brady had came over for it. Tom Wagner, the chairman, had came over for it. And I say every week, but the game starts and they come out and the fire things are going off and the fireworks are going off.
We had fireworks on Thursday night. That was wicked. I'm a big fan of that.
I just think like, yes, here we go. You know, they're over from America. We're putting on a show. Pretty much all of the the Cup and the Tilton's open again now. We're playing one of the worst teams in the league. Let's put on a show. And that's kind of the exact opposite of what we did. So positives, let's talk positives. First clean sheet under Rooney. That's positive. Good. Yes, it was against Rotherham of all teams, but I'll take it. It's a clean sheet. We did everything in our power to not leave that game with a clean sheet. And I think Rooney was bang on, I think, with a lot of his he said, I think, in one of his interviews that we got complacent and that we were fortunate to get away with a point in the end. And I think he's absolutely right, and I'm kind of glad he came out and said that.
He called out some of the players as well, didn't he?
He did, and it's not something he's scared to do, really. Yeah, just an off day all round. Everyone had an off day, even players who have been really, positive for all of this season, like Jay Stansfield, for example. Not to dig him out, he just didn't have a very good game. Ruddy, kind of, obviously he's kept a clean sheet, but it's like, again, not to make all these comparisons, but it's like when we had Zola there and he's trying to get, when Zola was there and we had like Thomas Kuszak in goal and like, who did we have at centre back then? Like, yeah, but, just a team that wasn't built to the style that he was trying to do. And this was like similar. We've got John Ruddy playing out from the back, and there was probably the most dramatic moment in the game was when John Ruddy played the ball out in the second half to Iwu, and he's had his pocket picked, or he's tried to play the ball back, and the ball's been intercepted, and he's got the striker's got around Ruddy. And were it not for Dion Sanderson on the line, throwing his body on the line, blocking the shot, we'd have gone a goal down there just from
great clearance.
It was a great clearance. It was very good. I've seen some people say his arm, but I don't know. It looked fine to me. And it was that sort of game. We didn't really create many good chances. Jukovic came off the bench and had a goal ruled out for offside. But it wasn't one of them like, I mean, I was down the other end to be fair, but it wasn't one of them, that having the goal ripped away from you, the heartbreak. Like I saw the flag go away before the goal was scored. So, that was one of them. So yeah, just frustrating all round, very lacking creativity. Had more possession, but I would expect to have that against a team like Rotherham. So yeah, just a disappointment. It was very interesting to see Tom Brady and Gary Cook, the CEO, on Instagram the next day going to Man City Spurs. Obviously, Gary Cook used to work at Man City and was involved in their project, how they went from what they were to what they are now. So I actually quite like that. I quite like that. That's what they're taking Tom Brady to go and see and say this is. Don't know if we'll ever get to that level, but that's what we're working towards someday. Hope something like that. Um, so this is the thing. I really want, and I still am 100% behind the whole Rooney thing. I really want it to work out, but he's been there 8 games now. We got one win, and that was against bottom of the league. And we'll get on to the next few games coming up, but our next few games are against, I think, Coventry away, Cardiff away, Leicester at home. Our away, we've lost every away game since in September, October, November. We lost every single away game. So you wouldn't really fancy us to get many points away from home at the minute, would you? And then Leicester are like absolutely running away with it. So not to be a pessimist, but like it's very feasible that we won't get any points from them 3 games. I hope I'm wrong. But then, and then you're looking at like 10, 11 games, and Rooney's got like a handful of points. It's like we need things, so that needs to change. Very interesting to see. Oh, also another side note: Ethan Laird going off injured, really frustrating. Only just got him back, and I think an upside to getting all these, sorry, the downside to getting a lot of good players in over the summer, like Laird, is that a lot of them are very injury prone. Like Laird's been in and out of the team a lot. Buchanan's been in and out. Keshi Anderson's been out for quite a while now, which is a shame because I really liked what I saw of him. Um, Tyler Roberts played the first game of the season against Swansea. He's just a missing man. I genuinely forgot he played for us. I saw his name somewhere the other day and I was like, completely forgot he even played for us. So that's a real shame. So yeah, very frustrating. Yeah, we sound here, win your home games, draw your away games, strive for that. But Rotherham at home, you got to be beating Rotherham at home. That's, in any circumstance. Interesting as well that we just couldn't score. We never looked like we were going to score, and he still wouldn't bring Scott Hogan on. Don't know what's going on there. I don't mind because I think Hogan has been, his pressing's very good and all this and that, but I can only tolerate so much of him spurning big chances and spurning one-on-one. So I'm not against it completely. But yeah, he didn't start. He played Jukovic up front instead against Blackburn. And he didn't play Hogan at all against Rotherham. So that was really interesting. He seems to be very out of favour. So I wouldn't be shocked if we maybe don't see much of him for the rest of the season and maybe even in January. Who knows? Could he be on his way possibly? So yeah, weekday at the office. Yeah, weekday at the office, I'd say.
A week in the office.
Yes, not for the first time lately. But try and get on to some more positive stuff later in the housekeeping section. I'll talk a bit about sort of the Blues open house forum stuff and some positive stuff in the bigger picture going on at the club and try and put this all into a bit of context, hopefully. So we'll get onto that later. But shall we move on to your weekend game? You played Bournemouth in the Premier League on Sunday.
Yesterday, yeah. I'll try and keep it relatively brief. We were not great as the end of it. We looked leggy. We looked a bit tired. A bit, Bournemouth have been rubbish for most of the season, but in the last three or four games, they've really seemed to turn a corner. And, you can never pick when you play a side or when this was a point where you probably didn't want to play Bournemouth at the moment. They've just sort of found their feet a little bit, whereas you probably wanted to play them in the first 7 games of the season. It is what it is. It's really weird because in the opening 10 minutes, we started the first 3 minutes terribly. Then we really grew into the game and we were probably the better team for the rest of that opening 12 minutes. And then we conceded. And it was sort of against the run of play. And a goal, it was almost like a carbon copy of the goal against Legia Warsaw, where we're trying to play out from the back and Diego Carlos just passes it to Ryan Christie. And because we're playing out from the back, we're quite open at the back because we're in possession of the ball. So, the fullbacks are starting to push up. The centre-backs are out wide. So to just pass the ball out and give it away in the middle of the park, you were just completely exposed and just one through ball directly down the middle of the pitch. And Antoine Semenyo was in and scored. It's a really poor goal to concede, especially because it's so similar to the one we conceded against Legia. Not going to criticize it too much because I remember speaking about this weeks ago. playing out from the back will give you so many positives at this level and so many goals, and it's made us the team we are. We will make mistakes and it will go wrong. It's just incredible that it's happened. The exact same thing happened in like 2 games in the space of like 3 or 4 days. It is what it is. We spoke last week about Boubacar Kamara being suspended, and we did really miss him. With the midfield, just never seemed to look right all game. Really, we played Louise and Tielemans, which I was a bit surprised about. I thought Tielemans would play, but I thought McGinn would drop into that double pivot, much like he did when Kamara was missing at the back end of last year, and it did really work. I know McGinn's better out wide and more attacking, but he can play in that defensive role. And I think he probably would have been better there, and it would have got the best out of Yuri Tielemans that we have been seeing in the last few weeks, with him a bit more advanced. So that was the one thing that I wasn't too sure about. And Nicolo Zaniolo really had a stinker in that first half. Really, really struggled. He reminds me so much of when Leon Bailey arrived at Villa Park. He's a player that you can see has got a lot of ability, and he's an Italy international. He was a Jose Mourinho's man at Roma, when they won the Conference League. So there is a good player in there. He just reminds me of Leon Bailey in that if he just focused on doing the simple stuff and get just play the simple ball and move, pass and move, he'd find himself find a gear. He's a player that's just trying too hard to make something happen instead of just like, there was a moment where he picked the ball up and he sort of cuts inside, and you got Ollie Watkins making this run. All he's got to do is slide the ball to Watkins because the defense is all following him, and Watkins has got a one-on-one. And yet he basically just runs all the way to the corner flag in the end because he can't get a shot off, and he's missed the opportunity to make a pass, and the chance has gone. So Leon Bailey was like that, where he'd just try and do it all himself and would lose the ball. And he's done the complete opposite this year. He's been a complete different player, and he scored the equaliser. Wonderful goal where he's picked the ball up, cut inside, bang, into the back of the net. And that's the sort of Leon Bailey that we saw in the compilation clips a few years ago when he was at Bayer Leverkusen. And he's having a really good season. He's been mostly off the bench. I think I said last week he was deserving of a start in at least one of the games this week, and he did deserve his start, and he got himself a goal, and he had a really good first half. We then, I think just before, in the build up to that, Semenyo got booked for gobbing off to the referee. Straight after the kickoff of Leon Bailey's goal, he's gone and clattered into him, and there's no second yellow. Yellow card every day of the week, and if he hadn't been booked, he would have been booked.
Referees are so weak for that.
They just completely bottled it. And anyway, the free kicks come in, great ball in, and it's been sort of dinked down by Luca Dean, pinged around, and Diego Carlos has tapped it in. 2-1, 2 goals in 2 minutes. Right, we're on track. And then it's been ruled out by VAR after 5 minutes later. I mean, I said this a few weeks ago. I mean, offside is relatively, none of us like the sort of armpit offsides, but you've got to draw a line somewhere. The semi-automated offsides, I don't care if it's mid-season, just bring them in. Genuinely, like, it's going to save everyone so much like stress and anger. We'd have had a decision within 15 seconds. Just bring it in.
Yeah.
Completely agree. It's a bit different to like if you just introduced VAR halfway through a season, or like all of a sudden it's like VAR is now checking this extra thing that it wasn't. The just help the offsides. It just makes that is annoying. And it is so close, and it is hard to tell where the line is because Luca Dean's foot is in the air, and because the camera isn't even dead on, it's like out here. You're never going to get the right angle for those really tight ones. So the sooner those semi-automated offsides come in, the absolute better, really. We went in at 1-1. We made a change, Zaniolo for Ramsey for Zaniolo, sorry. And we were just not at it in the second half. Really, really poor. Jacob Ramsey, he's been out for months. He's lacking match fitness. He didn't really impact the game. I would have expected Zaniolo for Diaby, maybe. That was probably the change. Diaby found his form in midweek, got himself a goal against Legia. He did come on, and then he got the assist. We conceded straight after half time. So, like we were saying earlier on in the season, goals at the start of halves, and we sort of got rid of it, and now we're back with it again. Both halves, 2 early goals, where we just gave the ball away and get cut open. But Diaby came on, put in a great cross, and Ollie Watkins with an absolutely brilliant header in the 90th minute to get ourselves a point that we really didn't deserve. Another day, Semenyo gets sent off. The VAR draws the line maybe slightly differently and the goal stands. We're 2-1 up and we probably win the game 3-1 or something, But that's not how the game went. And we were really poor in the second half. And it's a point that feels like a win. It's definitely a point gained. In a game that we should have won, it's a point gained because we played really badly. The away form has been an issue for a while, and every time it's looking like we're turning a corner, we just fall off the road slightly, or we hit a pothole.
Yeah, it feels like this away form is probably what's going to stop you hitting like these like stratospheric heights this season.
That's why we won't win the Premier League, and it's why we might not finish in the top 4. Sure. But there's time in the season to turn it around,
and work out why.
Yeah. And that'll lead us nicely into this week, which is probably the biggest week of the season for us. But we'll talk about the Blues open house forum first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, cool. So, nice one. So this was a week ago tonight, I believe. So we're recording on Monday, so it would have been last Monday, obviously. So yeah, we'll just get a bit into this, and important to mention, I think, because obviously been quite negative about the on-pitch stuff with Blues at the minute. But what the club did was they hosted this open house forum night where they invited various fan groups, I believe, down and hosted a big event basically. So like obviously I wasn't there, but they put it on. They put sections of it on Blues TV on YouTube and so on, so you could watch like the introduction section and then the Q&A section at the end. And then I've seen a lot of reaction to it and for people that were there in person. And it's been overwhelmingly positive, and what I saw was very impressive as well, I must say. So the idea was basically continuing to create the connection between the new owners and the fans. Obviously, that was something with the last owners that was non-existent. So it's very important to keep building on this. And I believe what it was their different suites at St Andrews would be a different presentation. You'd think you'd sit down there, it'd just be a Q&A or a quick chat or a PowerPoint presentation. But instead, it was basically, it looked like it was in each suite, there would be in groups, the crowd, and each group would go into a different suite at a time and see a presentation by a different member of the leadership team at Blues. So, for example, Wayne Rooney had one. I believe Craig Gardner had one. Hope Powell, who is the technical director of the women's team, obviously used to be the England women's manager, now working at Blues. She had one talking about a setup with the women's team with Darren Carter, I believe. And they will give talks on their facet and their part of the job and so on. And so that section of it wasn't available to watch online, I don't believe, or at least I haven't seen it anyway. But the stuff that I have seen on YouTube was the introduction over Zoom by Tom Wagner, and then Gary Cook's part of the speech, and then the Q&A with Gary Cook. So first of all, really positive in general that they're doing something like this, and that it's the first of many by all accounts, and that it's not just a quick talk out or pre-selected questions that are in no way challenging. It is really helping to create a connection between the fans and the owners, and also just the effort that they went to do this different. Actually, having Rooney there, helping the fans maybe understand what he's trying to do a bit more. Sections on the women's team and so on, showing that the plan isn't just for the first team. Like I think under the previous owners, it seemed like it very much was before they stopped even caring about that. And lots of interesting little tidbits of information. They talked a lot about driving revenue at the club and how there's something like their annual turnover in revenue is like 50 million behind the best performing team in the championship. And they were saying how all their stats show that teams that get out of the Championship are the teams with the highest revenue, and they have to what they're doing to increase their revenue. And it was interesting things like I think was it last year or the year before, they said something like Blues had the 17th highest level of revenue income in the Championship, and we finished 17th. The team that had the lowest level of income in revenue finished bottom. The team that had the highest or the second highest won the league. They're saying these are all clear facts that are there, and this is what we have to work towards, and getting sponsors on board. And that's clearly why they're trying to include people like Tom Brady and so on, and probably partially with Rooney as well.
And it's why we see the teams that drop down from the Premier League bouncing and yo-yoing so much at the moment as well.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. And they talked a bit about how teams that get out, apparently a lot of Rooney's section was about how teams that statistically get out of the Championship are teams that dominate possession, and how that's what they've got to try and emulate. And interesting stuff they talked about, kind of hinted at plans for the stadium. They were asked questions about that, and they said, this is a 10-year project, and revenue is the big driver, and match day income is a. They didn't outright say, yeah, we're going to move stadium eventually, but it's clearly highly implied, in my opinion, was what they were getting at. And I thought they just spoke really well. Like Gary Cook, I think he does maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't even say divide. Maybe does divide opinion. I think some people with the whole Rooney thing have kind of targeted him a little bit for it, but he talks very well, in my opinion. And as a Blues fan, I think he does. I think he does have the interest, the best interests of the club at heart. And I think, I just like the way Wagner and Cook both spoke, and the way Wagner said a very interesting piece where he said, the only time I've been disappointed with the Birmingham City fans since I joined here was the Hull City game, because I could have had a pin drop in there. So that was Rooney's first home game. That's a really interesting thing to hear your new owner come out and say. Like disappointed, I think was the word he used. And he said, like, bring the noise. We need to create we need to create this real hostile atmosphere, create this atmosphere to match our ambition at the club. And I think I do think he's right to come out and say it. It's an unusual thing to hear your owner come out and say. But he is right. I think, I've said about how the atmosphere's not been great lately, but I appreciate that goes hand in hand with the results and so on. But no, it just felt like.
And there was a lot of that game in particular as well. Obviously, is off the back of sacking the popular manager.
Yeah, of course.
For the name.
Yeah, sure, no, absolutely. And yeah, I'm 8 games in, it's not going great, but I think it was just interesting to watch, and I would recommend people do watch it if they can. Because for all the negativity at the minute, it really reminded me of the positive things that are going on at the club at the minute, and this is just part of a bigger picture. And these people do. And I've said it on here before, it's about just getting through this period, hopefully, and getting towards a bit of consistency, improving results, and improving performances. Because I do genuinely believe the general future of the club is very, very bright. And I believe for a first open house forum that it was very encouraging. So I took a lot of positives from what I saw. And they mentioned things like there's going to be funds available in the summer, increased funds within profit and sustainability regulations. Just a lot of stuff you want to hear, to be honest. So yeah, encouraging. And by all accounts, everyone who went loved it, had a great time, apparently.
It's the level of detail that goes such a long way with fans.
Yeah.
To be able to effectively, if you're one of that group of, 50 people in a room where the manager sits down and explains why he's doing certain things and what his philosophy is and why he wants to do certain things. That's almost like money can't buy sort of experience, really. Obviously, it is a money can buy experience, but you know what I'm saying.
No, completely. And another interesting thing Cook said he sort of talks about the scale of the challenge, and he said they got there and things like, the heating didn't work, the coffee machines didn't work, like the groundsman didn't have a lawnmower to cut the grass.
The floodlights.
The floodlights. Oh, we've got new floodlights now. We've got new floodlights. Yeah. And things like, I don't know if he was just using it as an analogy, or if it wouldn't shock me though if it was a genuine literal thing. Things like didn't have any white paint to paint the lines on the pitch. Like, it wouldn't shock me at all if that's not just an analogy. And so yeah, it puts it all into perspective, the scale of this challenge. And then Gary Cook's taking Tom Brady to the Man City game and saying, this is what we're striving for by all accounts. So encouraging. I think it's a lot to be excited about. Got to keep the bigger picture in mind.
Absolutely.
But don't get
Shall
me
we?
wrong, we need to get some points at the same time.
Yeah.
So
It's,
we need to get
it's
some
all
wins,
well,
man.
it's all well and good having the swanky new stadium
Oh,
and new
yeah.
floodlights if you're playing League One football next
Oh,
year.
100%. We need Coventry. We need something at Coventry on Friday. But yeah. But anyway, do you have any housekeeping on your end, on the Villa end?
Not this week.
Wonderful. Shall
Oh,
we?
well, we got Middlesbrough away in the FA Cup, and I hope I get a ticket. And I hope we don't get knocked
Uh,
out in the third round for the eighth season in a row.
is it really that many years? 7 in a row.
The last time we won in the third round of the FA Cup was the year we got relegated. We've been knocked out in the
Whoa.
third
Okay.
round every single year.
Wow. I thought our record was bad. We got Hull away, probably the worst draw we could have hoped for. A team in our division away that we never win at. Yep. Definitely not going to that one. Um, side note, it was the Euros draw this week as well, wasn't it? Interesting.
It was, yeah.
Yes. But
One
yeah,
for the summer.
anyway. One for the summer. Yeah, look
Yeah.
forward to that. Yeah, should we get into the upcoming games for this week then?
Yes. So, as I said, this is probably the biggest week of our season so far. And by the end of it, we'll have a good idea of roughly what we're fighting for this year, which is exciting. But it's also a bloody terrifying section of games. I remember when the fixture list came out and I saw this week, I went, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So we've got Manchester City on Wednesday and then Arsenal on Saturday.
So have you got Man City this coming Wednesday on the 6th?
Yes. Yeah. 8:15 kickoff on Amazon Prime. Because they'll have a game at 7:30, and so when that hits half time, you can start the first half of our game. Yeah. Huge game. Huge game. I'm really gutted I can't go because I'd really love to go to this game. There's no Rodri, there's no Jack Grealish, and there might not be any Jeremy Doku. And if the PGMOL have been active on social media, I think Erling Haaland should get a ban for his comments on social media after the game yesterday. Ban him for this week. Yeah, just the one match ban. That's what he needs.
Oh yeah, of course.
But yeah, so Rodri is really what makes them tick. I mean, they're obviously an incredible team without him, but they have tended to struggle without him. So he's going to be a big loss. And there's no Matheus Nunes either, who is kind of like their Rodri replacement. So we might get Calvin Phillips making a start in the Premier League. That'd be pretty wild. Yeah, huge game.
Book his seat on the plane to Germany with that performance.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how we line up. I think it'll be like Kamara, the midfield and forward line. I can kind of imagine it'll be Luis Kamara, McGinn, maybe Jacob Ramsey, maybe it'll either be Ramsey or Bailey, and then Diaby and Watkins up front. The back four, I don't know. I can't work out whether he'll play Moreno or Luka Dean, and I don't know whether he'll play Matty Cash or Diego Carlos. I think I'd play Matty Cash and have a traditional back four. That's what I'd do. But I trust Unai Emery, whatever decision he makes. It's a game that's really exciting, but I'm also dreading it.
Score prediction? Do you have a prediction?
I did my Super Six today, so I'll give you the same prediction. I put 1-1.
Okay. Bless him.
Because we won't keep a clean sheet, but I'm
to be fair, they're not in great form. They're not in
Yeah.
great form for them, are they, to be fair? And if Spurs can get a draw against them with all their injuries, you never know.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely score, but I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think it'll be a really good game. I don't know if the ticker can take it.
Fair enough. And your second game is against
Second game is Arsenal on Saturday at 5:30. So I might as well rattle through that one as well. If the ticker survives the Man City game, I don't know if it'll get through the Arsenal game as well. But yeah, two games that they're both at Villa Park. They're both at home. Arsenal won't be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. I can't remember the last time we beat Arsenal. The last time we beat Arsenal at home with fans, God knows when that was. We obviously beat them twice at home in 2 lockdowns. So maybe get Trezeguet back for this one game. And no, I think that one will be close. I think we'll win that game. I'm quietly confident that we'll beat Arsenal. But knowing Aston Villa, we'll either lose both of them or we'll beat Man City and lose to Arsenal. I don't really know. So, but I don't think. I think that could be like a 2-1 or a 3-2 or something. If it's anything like the last game that Villa part between those two teams, it'd be incredible.
Very interesting. Yeah, big Saturday night game. That I should say.
Not a Sunday.
Not a Sunday. Yeah, blimey. Wow. Cool. We are playing. We're on Friday.
You're going to this game on Friday. You're making the long, hard, slogging trek on a Friday night, all the way halfway across the country to go from Bromsgrove to Coventry.
You say this. I agree. It's not far, but I'm in work at 6 a.m. on Friday. I'm back in work at 6 a.m. on Saturday. Going to the game on the evening. 40 quid a ticket. Outrageous. 20's plenty. Come on. Sort it out. It's on Sky as well. Come on, sort it out, guys. But yeah, Coventry away, going to the Rico. Weird. I have technically been to Coventry away before, but it was that
the Killers
0-0. Oh no, I went to the Killers there last year. Yeah. No, but I went when we played Coventry away. When they were at St Andrews.
At St Andrews.
Yeah, Jefferson Montero, the most unfit footballer I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, it's on Sky. We haven't picked up a single point away from home, I think, since we beat Bristol City away in August, which was on like our second podcast. This is episode 16. So yeah, put that into context. I think that's right. So we're a couple of places above them in the league, but I think they'll see us as there for the taking at home. A draw, I'd take a draw, but I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. I think we'll score. I'll have an optimistic 2-2. That's my prediction. But let's get Stansfield in, get Miyoshi, get Dembele, get him on the pitch, play Bakuna slightly higher up. I'd start Jordan James with Bielik in the midfield. I'd put Kevin Long back in personally. So Coventry at home, and then we've got Cardiff away a week on Wednesday, but we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Wonderful stuff. Should we call it a night, Dan? Because we're going to run out of time.
Zoom call's about to end. Cool. Wonderful. If you have enjoyed this week's podcast, you can follow us on Twitter and TikTok. Yeah,
there's a load of new TikToks that went up. And I think they went on YouTube as well this week. So go check them out. Loads of them. Go and give them all the views and likes you want. Go and subscribe on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to us on, or subscribe if you're on YouTube as well. If you're watching us, what do you think of the shirts? And 5-star reviews, the whole lot.
Lovely. You can follow us with the handle as well, Second City Pod.
Yeah, 2ND City Pod. Linktree's on screen. That'll take you everywhere that you want to go. Listen to our Second City stories as well. We did 3 special episodes. One on McLeish, one on Hotter, and one on Heskey. Go and watch them and listen to them.
Wonderful. Cal, same time next week, mate.
Same time next week. I think it's another double game week again.
Oh, yeah. Just look forward
wonderful to it. Wonderful stuff. But yeah, same time next week, Dan. Have a great weekend. Up the Villa.
Keep right on, mate. See you next time.